Good evening once again. You welcome to Talking Point. We having as guest Ndiwum Emmanuel. He is a teacher as well as civil society actor. Good evening, Ndiwum Emmanuel.
Good evening, Mr. Aze, and thanks for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to be on your platform.
It's always a pleasure as well to have you on the platform.
Indeed.
So how was your day?
No, the day was fine, despite the fact that rain is punctuated almost every activity, but it's good. It showers of blessings.
Okay, we dive straight into serious business. We spoke about the monthly reports, the reports published by Stand Up for Cameroon Human Rights Working Group in the month of June. They are highlighting several rights violations and abuses committed in the two English-speaking regions of the country, the far north, the east, as well as other areas, that's in other regions of the country. What's your opinions regarding that publication of their human rights report?
Well, Mr. Aze, I think their report is now new, and their report should not take people by surprise. You know, Cameroon is one of the countries that have the bluest report card when it comes to human rights violation. And
why blue? Why not red?
No, I mean blue. That if they were writing exams to pass in order of who can successfully violate the rights of its citizens,
okay,
Cameroon will take first.
Okay.
Their report card will be blue.
Right.
If I put red, it means that they are respecting it. But then, since they are having a pass mark in human rights violation, we do not even need the human rights group to keep informing us all the time, because they inform us and they are like adding more salt to injury, because they are reminding us of what we already know. You know, we are in a situation where every living thing, anything that breathes in Cameroon, suffers from rights violation. It should not only even be limited to only human beings. Even animals in Cameroon, even though when it comes to an area where the government can benefit from the animals, they prefer to respect the animal rights than the human rights. So the rights group is doing a good job, but then it is not enough, because I think Cameroonians have come of age. It was not supposed to be a thing of one group. Cameroonians were supposed to have now discovered that collective intelligence without the use of arms can take them out from the hands of a dictator, because we are in a dictatorial regime, and that one is not something that we should debate about. So I think,
according to you?
No, not just according to me. According to Cameroonians who are still patriots, goodwill Cameroonians, those who still like Cameroon will tell you that as a only people who are fake, who do not like Cameroon, who do not put Cameroon first, who put their interests first, will say otherwise. But for those who still think Cameroon should be put first before any other thing, they wouldn't say otherwise. So human rights violation in Cameroon is a reality, and Cameroon is having a very good report card. If not on the first three, then it should be at the top of the violations. We don't need to be citing cases. Recently, I was watching your television. I saw a militant of a political party chant to his sick bed, and it reminded me of an Anglophone detainee who was chained to a sick bed.
No,
and those people
about two of them or three.
No, every life matters. Look, Mr. Aze.
But today we give the impression, the way authorities are giving the impression, is like human lives do not matter in the country.
Yes, in Cameroon context, the life of a common man and the life of an opposition man in Cameroon do not matter. The life of those who matter in Cameroon are the lives of the high criminals who are placed in ministries in Yaoundé. You know, in Cameroon has some particularities that other countries do not have. Cameroon happens to be one of the countries where bigger thieves are celebrated, but those who commit a minor crime are not cautioned the way it ought to have been, but they are treated as such. Because when you tell me that just 2-3 people must have been seen chained to their sick bed, yes, but we know of the cases of people who have disappeared till date and we don't know their whereabouts. I'm talking now in the context of the crisis, the war in the northwest and southwest region. Is that not human rights abuse?
It is. It includes some of the points raised by Stand Up for Cameroon.
Yes, I am adding my voice to that of Stand Up for Cameroon, and I'm asking other Cameroonians that, look, don't only leave this denunciation into the hands of Stand Up for Cameroon. Everybody, if all Cameroonians could take my advice, Mr. Azi, they would take a particular day that every morning they ghost the whole of Cameroon to denounce human rights violation. Cameroonians need to take steps. If they keep lying on their laurels, they will be all crushed. And before we know, the little voices that are now sounding, when they will all be enveloped, who will sound the voice again? Then, which Cameroon are we trying to build?
You're talking about ghosting streets and so on to denounce human rights abuses and violations by staying in their homes. How will the authorities that be know that they are protesting against the gross rights violations and abuses? Why not take to the street peacefully to call for end to human rights violations and abuses?
Going to the street peacefully would have been the best option. But you know that...
Why is it a bad option?
No, it's a bad option because those who pretend to be ruling Cameroon have painted it to look bad. If you
form of repression?
Yes, the kind of impression that they have, repression that they have. You know that going to the street, you have only one option. It is either you are being tear gassed or you meet with a live bullet. And you know that people fear for their lives. That is where I think the majority of Cameroonians is still lacking. In other countries, people give in their lives to serve a nation. That is one element of patriotism which is lacking in Cameroonians, especially in the other 8 French regions of Cameroon. Come to think of it, the war in Northwest and Southwest, if Cameroon was one and indivisible, because the word one and indivisible is the national anthem of the CBDM, the one and indivisibility of Cameroon. If it was truly one and indivisible, the other 8 regions of Cameroon, they decide this evening, Mr. Aze, to rise up tomorrow. This war will come to an end, and other ills will also come to an end. It is because the other regions are living as though life is very normal.
Don't you think the other way, that if all the 10 regions they rise up, there will rather be chaos in the country?
No. Before you have peace, you must have chaos. We all know that to have a chicken,
abuses and violations should be gross.
The egg must be cracked. If Cameroonians are comfortable with the rights violations, then let them seal their lips and be quiet. They should not rise up when it happens. It is their duty to rise up, protect their country. I often hear the officials talk about protecting the territorial integrity. We even have some in the government promoted because they said if Northwest and Southwest was raised like Sodom and Gomorrah, like God did, that Mr. Biya has been so kind to Northwest and Southwest. Otherwise, The constitution gives him the right to erase these two regions to protect the integrity of Cameroon. No, the integrity of a country is for the people, not for an individual. When it becomes the integrity of an individual, then there is something wrong with that nation. And that is what is happening in Cameroon. So something is wrong with Cameroon. Very big wrong.
Let me, you earlier talk about the fact that these human rights defenders in Cameroon keep publishing reports on right violations and abuses, that it is not enough. What more do they need to do?
Mr. Azi, most people only hear about some of these human rights groups on platforms like this, on television. They need massive sensitization and a clear-cut map of actions to be taken by the people. Because just words are not enough. And when the people are not sensitized, educated on a particular thing, they are left to think that there is no way out. Of which, remember, I earlier applauded the action, but I want that they should go beyond talking, sensitize the population massively.
What should be the various measures to be used?
We have schools, we have churches, we have meetings, we have markets. We are in a global world. It takes nothing to just come up with a forum where you get some intellectuals, people who are patriots, and then they disseminate the information to others, and it goes across. That's sensitization. Some of these people, they sit in their offices, they call, they get information, they publish. They don't go to the field to factor in this information into the minds and the brains of the people on the field.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, before we go out of the news, I first of all want also to talk about, on Sunday, the head of state, Paul Biya, left the country to Europe for a private visit with the wife, First Lady Chantal Biya, and is coming after 2 years of staying in the country without embarking on a private visit. How did you actually receive this news of another private visit in Europe, though the country has not been specified?
Yes, it is good that every human being needs to take air at times. Every human being needs to take air. Staying on the same spot all along becomes boring. But my problem is, you cannot be a president for the people. You are leaving your country with a lot of problems that are plaguing your country, and your people do not know your destination, Mr. Azi. It is terrible. That defines and, of course, comforts the position of those who have been saying that Mr. Biya is not the one having control over Cameroon.
Okay.
Because as a father of the house, before you leave the house in the morning, it is but normal that the family needs to know where the family hate is getting to, so that they can pray for the family hate, for his going out and for his coming back. If not, should something happen to the family hate out of the home, what will the assistant family hate, which is the wife? Because in this case, I take Cameroona as the wife, and I take the couple out as the husband of the nation. And then what will you say? What feedback will you give? It is also good that
there's always an elder brother.
Before I give you the microphone, it should be noted that
okay,
Mr. Biya's stay in Cameroon for 2 years was not his liking. It is because a certain organization called BAS, Brigade Anti-Sardina, had frequently promised him hell. So he was not staying in Cameroon because he liked it. He has been confined in Cameroon by circumstances beyond certain control. So we only hope that.
So are you saying there was threats from the members of the BAS?
Well,
Is that what you're trying to say?
I don't know whether he was afraid, but we have seen the humiliation that had been given to him in the past. Maybe he was running away from this humiliation. Let's just hope that whether the destination in which he's going to is Jupiter, Mercury, or Venus, let him come back safely. But like I've said, we were talking about scholars and intellectuals one day. I think Mr. Biya is one of the scholars in this nation. He should use his intellectual knowledge to know that age gives us energy to perform certain functions, and age takes away energy from us to perform certain functions. It is time he gets to rest.
Yes, before we go out, tell us how his absence in the country is going to affect activities, is going to affect the socio-political crisis.
No, Mr. Biya's
just briefly, please.
Mr. Biya's absence in the country is affecting nothing, because his presence in the country affects nothing. Do you feel Mr. Biya any longer? I, as a youth, 36 years of age, I will not lie to you, I've never felt the presence of Mr. Biya. In other countries, you see their presidents moving around the country. When was the last time you heard that Mr. Biya met a tour in his country? And that is why his ministers have the guts to embezzle, steal. When road constructions are given to them, they embezzle the money because they know that the captain is sleeping. The coach draws the line up, but he does not stand by the field to control his players how to play. And that is how the players end up kicking all the balls, offsides, wrong penalties, wrong throw-ins, and of course it's because the coach has drawn the lineup and he has disappeared. So Biya's outing, whether he's in the country or out of the country, most people do not feel his presence. They don't feel any impact. So nothing will touch the economic, social, political scene of the country.
So you say Ndiwum Emmanuel, but most Cameroonians feel the presence of the head of state, Paul Biya, following his decrees appointing some persons in key positions, and the family happy, Cameroonians happy, and the close relatives. That I must say. Well, Ndiwum Emmanuel, thanks so much for coming.
It's always a pleasure.
And it always be a pleasure.
In Equinox, above images, we render account.
Exactly. That was Ndiwum Emmanuel. He is a teacher and a civil society actor. That's it for this edition of the 6 p.m. Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television. Thanks so much for watching. Join us tomorrow, God willing. Have a nice evening.